It was a cold, gray morning when the gates of Blackridge Penitentiary opened for the final time. A convoy of 6 armored vehicles rolled out, steel monsters rumbling down the cracked asphalt. Inside the lead transport sat 40 of the nation's most dangerous inmates. Killers, drug lords, mercenaries, each one shackled, sedated, and silenced. But none of them were the reason for the military-grade security, the 2 helicopters overhead, or the full lockdown order issued across 3 states. Number that was for Khalid Reza. Dubbed the architect by global intelligence agencies, Reza wasn't just a criminal, he was a myth. A former military strategist turned shadow kingpin, his fingerprints were on everything from political assassinations in Berlin to a billion-dollar cryptocurrency heist in Tokyo. He never left behind evidence, and worse, he never stayed in one place long enough to be caught. Until now. Captured in a covert sting in Istanbul after disappearing for 6 years, Reza had already escaped 3 high-security facilities, including one from inside solitary confinement. This time the authorities swore there would be no mistakes. The warden himself oversaw the transfer preparations. Reza was strapped to a reinforced steel chair, hands cuffed, legs bound, and a biometric gag fastened across his jaw. He wasn't even allowed to blink at the wrong time without triggering a retinal scan alarm. 2 armed officers sat across from him, pulse monitors wired directly to command. Outside, snipers flanked the rooftops. Highway patrol units had blocked every exit within a 50-mile radius. The convoy's route had been randomized just an hour before departure, known only to a handful of top-ranking officials. Satellite drones tracked their position every 3 seconds. For good measure, the convoy carried a decoy vehicle identical to the real one. "We've got eyes on everything," said Lieutenant Colum Harris, watching the operation unfold from a control tower brimming with screens and code streams. "Not even God could get to this guy." He couldn't have known those would be the last confident words spoken that day. Inside the transport, Reza sat still, his eyes half closed, lips curled into the faintest smile. To the guards he looked sedated, but those who knew him would recognize it, that eerie calm before chaos. He was never a man of muscle. His strength lay in his mind. He didn't fight you, he thought circles around you. 2 years ago, he vanished from a court-holding cell while under 24/7 surveillance. No broken locks, no missing guards, just gone. This time they had overcompensated. Every movement was micromanaged, every threat anticipated, except one. Riding in the same convoy were 40 other inmates, a roster of monsters in their own right. But they didn't know Reza. They weren't briefed on his mind, his influence, his control. They didn't know that over the last 3 months, from inside a concrete box, Reza had slowly, carefully planted seeds, whispers, promises, deals. Not with force, but with belief. He made them believe. In just 1 hour, all 40 prisoners would become pawns in a move that had taken him 2 years to plan. As the convoy exited the city limits, the sky darkened. Not clouds, drones. A fleet of black, silent machines hovering above the convoy path, unnoticed by radar, streaming encrypted signals to an unseen network. That's when the first chopper went dark. Power failure. Then the radio comm started to glitch. Inside the control room, screens blinked, flickered, froze. What the hell's going on? Back in the armored truck, one of the guards felt something cold at the back of his neck. Not a gun. Something stranger. A steel pin, inserted through a hole in the wall. He turned, but too late. The sedative in his coffee finally kicked in. Reza opened his eyes fully now, looking directly at the remaining conscious guard. "You thought this was security," he said, voice smooth, mechanical, speaking through the unlocked gag. "It's not. It's a stage." With a flick of his finger, 40 restraints unlocked, and the world's most dangerous criminal escaped, not alone, but with an army. The convoy was 32 minutes into its route when Reza slumped forward, groaning softly. Officer Nathan Cole, 23 years old and fresh out of academy training, flinched. He'd been assigned to the prisoner transport as backup. Just a formality, they said. Reza was gagged, restrained, and sedated. What could go wrong? Now, Cole's eyes darted toward the back seat where Reza's head hung low, twitching unnaturally. "Sir?" Cole said nervously, nudging his partner, Sergeant Rivas, a grizzled veteran who hadn't blinked in 20 minutes. "He's seizing or something. Look at him." Rivas didn't bother. "Ignore it. He's playing. But his breathing, it doesn't sound right." Reza let out a low, guttural choke, his fingers spasming against the cuffs. Blood, bright, wet, and sudden, trickled from his nose. His body shook violently. "Jesus! He's hemorrhaging!" Cole panicked, unbuckling. "Sit down!" Rivas barked. "That bastard can fake a stroke better than a Hollywood actor. We move. He moves." But the rookie was already moving, sliding toward Reza, whose eyes rolled back into his head. Cole reached out hesitantly, fingers just inches from the gag. In one smooth motion, Reza convulsed forward and whispered through a small tear he had secretly cut in the gag's lining. "Duck." Cole instinctively obeyed. An ear-splitting boom shattered the silence. The transport jerked violently as the asphalt beneath it exploded in a burst of fire and dirt. The armored vehicle swerved, tilting dangerously before crashing onto its side. Sirens howled, tires screeched. The world turned sideways. The convoy had entered a kill zone. On the cliff above the winding road, black-clad operatives opened fire, not with bullets, but smoke grenades, jammers, and EMP charges. Within seconds, all communications were dead, the air filled with thick gray fog, choking visibility. The overhead drones blinked offline. The helicopters swirled above, disoriented by blinding lights shot from the forest canopy. Inside the lead transport, chaos erupted. Rivas struggled to reach his rifle as Cole, dazed, tried to push open the twisted door. Somewhere in the smoke, Reza's cuffs clicked open, triggered remotely. He stood calmly, brushing dust from his prison jumpsuit. "You should sit down, Officer Cole," he said, stepping over a broken seat. "It's safer when you're not part of the play." Before Cole could respond, the rear doors burst open. 3 figures in tactical gear pulled Reza out with surgical precision. A fourth tossed in a small canister, gas hissing as the other prisoners began to stir. That was the second phase. In the other transports, emergency protocols kicked in, but it was too late. The prisoners' restraints released one by one, controlled by the very system designed to protect them. The security software had been compromised weeks ago. Now the 40 most dangerous men on the eastern seaboard were awake, aware, and very, very free. Gunshots rang out as a few stunned guards tried to fight back, but they were outnumbered, outmaneuvered, and outgunned. The convoy had been infiltrated from the inside, too. A medic, a mechanic, and a drone technician. All plants. The escape wasn't just a break. It was a takeover. From the hill above, Reza stood calmly, watching the unfolding storm. His allies worked like clockwork, guiding freed prisoners to pre-planned exits, providing gear and fake identities, sorting them like cargo. It was all happening exactly as he'd written it, not just days or weeks ago, but 3 years earlier, when he'd first allowed himself to be seen on security footage in Istanbul. A trap within a trap. Cole, limping from the crash, stumbled up the hill, his gun shaking. "Stop! You're not going anywhere!" Reza turned, serene, almost amused. "I already went." Suddenly, the prisoner transport behind Cole exploded, flinging him forward. When he looked up, Reza was gone. The smoke rolled through the forest like a living thing, swallowing the shadows and sound. By the time reinforcements arrived, the scene was abandoned. All 41 prisoners were missing. Not a single body, not a single trail, just one message, spray-painted on the twisted metal hull of the lead truck. We were never inside. Within hours, the entire eastern seaboard was locked down. Highways were sealed, airports grounded, borders placed on red alert. Every intelligence agency from the FBI to Interpol mobilized under a single directive: capture or kill Khalid Reza and the 40 fugitives now loose in the wind. But there was nothing to follow. No digital footprints, no security footage, no witnesses. It was as if the ground had swallowed them whole. At the Joint Tactical Operations Center in Washington, A wall of monitors showed live drone feeds, satellite imagery, and thermal scans from 3 states. Dozens of analysts shouted into headsets, tracking thousands of leads. Each one dissolved into nothing. "No trace?" snapped Deputy Director Mallory, pacing. 41 armed fugitives don't just vanish." "They didn't vanish," said a tech quietly. "They erased themselves." In a private briefing room, officials studied a single recovered device, a miniature jamming unit planted under the convoy weeks before the transfer. It had one function: blind satellites for 5 minutes. Just 5. That was all Reza needed. Worse, someone had accessed the Department of Corrections mainframe from inside the system. 13 days before the escape. Logins matched an agent who died in a car accident 2 years ago. "This wasn't a breakout," said Mallory grimly. "It was an operation." Day 3. The illusion collapses. Media outlets flooded with questions. News anchors speculated wildly. Was Reza building an army? Had he infiltrated the government? Was the prison system compromised nationwide? The president addressed the nation in a late-night emergency broadcast. "We will not rest until these fugitives are captured. This was an act of domestic terrorism, and it will not go unanswered." But behind the scenes, even the president's own security team was compromised. Files disappeared, surveillance logs corrupted, high-value targets moved into hiding. It wasn't just fear, it was chess, and Reza was always 2 moves ahead. Day 6. The revelation. In Berlin, a high-ranking UN cybersecurity consultant was found dead, poisoned. In Dubai, a private cryptocurrency vault was emptied, over $600 million gone. In Jakarta, 5 tech company servers crashed simultaneously, exposing the data of over 400 million people. Each of these events shared one thing in common: the same encrypted signature embedded in their systems, a sequence known only to Reza's codename, Architect 01. "He's not hiding," Mallory said. "He's moving." Finally, on the 7th day, the world got an answer. The message. At exactly 7 a.m., Eastern Standard Time, over 2,000 government and corporate servers across 11 countries shut down for 33 seconds. When they came back online, every screen displayed the same black background. White text flickered across. What you saw was not an escape. It was a distraction. Phase 1 is complete. This is just the beginning. KR. Across cities, digital billboards changed. In Times Square, Reza's face appeared for a moment, only to dissolve into static. Banks froze. Stock markets trembled. Flights were delayed without explanation. Intelligence analysts whispered that Reza had infiltrated global infrastructure, a hidden hand on every digital lever of the modern world. And still, no one could find him. Not a single surveillance image, no intercepted calls, no online chatter. The 40 fugitives disappeared like ghosts. Some believed they were hiding. Others feared they were already active, seeding the next collapse. Scene: underground bunker, unknown location. Somewhere beneath the earth, deep inside an abandoned NATO command post, Khalid Reza stood at a glowing table map, surrounded by 10 shadowy figures: former generals, hackers, chemists, and spies. Each one had walked away from their country for him. Reza smiled, looking at the red lights blinking slowly across the map. "Governments are fragile," he said softly. "They just don't know it yet." He turned to one of his lieutenants. "Initiate Phase 2. Scene: control room, FBI. Back in Washington, Mallory stared at the monitors, eyes sunken from lack of sleep. A young analyst approached, holding a new report. "Sir, we found something strange. A shipping manifest flagged by Interpol. A delivery of industrial-grade servers redirected to a decommissioned data facility in Greenland." Mallory looked up sharply. "Send it. All of it." As the satellite image loaded, the room went silent. It was a massive underground facility, power active, security restored, and ownership unknown. Then the lights flickered. All comms went dead again. Mallory looked at the monitors, now all showing the same screen. Checkmate is not when the king falls. It's when he realizes he never had a move.